YouTube पे there are so many videos talking about ways to make money, but most of them do not work in 2024. There's so much competition, there are so many people in this field, and there is very little way for you to make true value and make a living doing what you love. Hi everyone, I'm Ishan Sharma, and that is why in this video I'll be talking about 5 unknown ways to make money online. I'll be talking about what this method is, how can you execute on this, what are some free resources, and how can you learn about it. All I want you to do is to watch till the end, and I will also tell you about an amazing business software that can help you get more things done and save your time. These 5 ways have tons of demand, but there are very few people who are in this field, and that is where your potential lies. Starting with the first and the easiest unknown way to make money online, and that is to become a freelance influencer marketer. Influencer marketing एक ऐसी field है जहाँ पे there are tons of creators who are creating content, sharing their life, creating different category content, and there are brands who want their brand and their product to be included in these videos that the creators are creating. Your job is to connect both of them, is to become the person that connects the creator and the brand and takes a cut in the middle. And you basically create a very seamless process for brands to execute collaborations, for brands to execute every single campaign. That is the job of an influencer marketer, and it is very, very lucrative. For example, you are working with 5 creators who create content on YouTube and Instagram. Every month they are getting about 5 deals, and every deal is getting them about 1 lakh rupees. So in total, each creator is making about 5 lakh rupees from the brand collabs that you are getting them. Total becomes 25 lakh rupees, and you are charging them 20%. A 20% commission would get you to 5 lakh rupees per month. You can make over 5 lakh rupees per month by just having 5 creators who are doing 5 collaborations every single month. Now, yes, there are tons of influencer marketing agencies in this field, but freelance influencer marketing is a great field because you can just be a sole person who is just routing all the payments. And the best thing you can do is to trust the creator and tell them that the brand will pay you, and then you can pay me an agreed upon percentage of that deal. So in that case, the creator knows that there is full transparency and they would definitely want to pay you a part of that pie. That is essentially how influencer marketing works. It's a very lucrative field. The first step is to find creators who are currently small but have huge potential in the future. They could be in various different fields like beauty, lifestyle, vlogging. They could also be in educational fields like design, like tech, like storytelling. There are so many other fields, but you have to basically find as many creators as possible and work with them on a commission basis. That's it. If you get them a deal, you take a 20% cut. You can also lower this percentage to 15 or to 10% to beat the market and what they charge. And that is a great way to get started and become an influencer marketer. But moving on, let's now talk about the second unknown way to make money, and that is by taking interviews. I'm not talking about giving interviews, I'm talking about being the person who's taking interviews of people. So there is a website which recently aired on Shark Tank season 3. It's called as Interview. Again, this is not sponsored, but what you can basically do here is that you go on their platform and you register yourself as an interview engineer. So if you are a software developer, if you have some experience of working in this field, but you want to make some money on the side, there is a secret way to do so, and that is by becoming a freelance interview engineer, in which you would be matched by people who want to get hired at particular companies. Could be startups, could be other companies, and your sole job is to interview them and give the final verdict to the company if they should be hired or not. And you will be paid for every interview that you are taking. And let's move on to the third unknown way to make money, and that is by managing podcasts out there. There are so many people starting podcasts today. Every single one wants to go viral, but most people mess up. Most people make mistakes. And so your job is to become the person who, number one, gets them the right guests, the people who will come on the podcast and speak. And secondly, manage and distribute the podcast in a way that it gets a ton of traction. I literally know people who are charging podcast hosts for getting guests for them. So imagine a world in which you are a podcast host, but you need podcast guests. So what you do is you go to this person and say that, hey, find me people who are into politics, or find me people who are into tech, people who are founders. And they would reach out to those people, they would talk to their PR teams, they would make sure that they are interested to join your podcast. And for every single guest, they will charge you a particular amount. You need to be exceptionally good at cold emailing, at networking with people, building relationships with people, and you need to understand how the podcast game works in India. You need to know what is the right way to make a podcast viral, right? The best way, if you've seen podcasts like the Rashomani Figuring Out podcast, you might have seen Ranveer show. What they do is when the podcast goes live, they also start uploading the clips. And so it has a very circular effect. People watch the reel, they immediately go watch the YouTube video. And when they have a ton of YouTube views on that video, the YouTube algorithm promotes the video even more. So that is essentially how that podcast goes viral. You need to also learn how to distribute a podcast on audio platforms like Spotify, like Apple Podcasts, and many others. So all of this comes in the umbrella of podcast management, getting guests, creating virality, creating clips, making sure that you're putting it out on audio platforms, and also to get deals for these podcasts. There are so many podcasts out there, but there are very few companies who are sponsoring podcasts. Your job is to get long-term deals for your podcast client and charge a percentage commission of that. Again, as I've talked about previously in this video. So that is the third way to make money, by becoming a podcast manager. Very lucrative, tons of opportunities, very few people are tackling it, and it's a very new role, right? 2020 when I started a podcast, no one cared, right? My first few episodes were not getting viewed by anyone. Today, everyone wants to watch podcasts. Everyone wants to listen to podcasts. And that is why you can take this opportunity and make a ton of money.